I just wanna go to sleep. I just wanna go to sleep. I don't wanna make a peep. I just wanna go to sleep. Wanna go straight to bed and put my little head on the pillow and listen to chill tunes and fall asleep. Don't wanna do a single damn thing. Wanna cuddle up with Chompy and go to sleep. I want to go to sleep. Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of Don't Let My Energy Fool You. I am super exhausted. That little intro song thingy was not even a slight exaggeration whatsoever. Last night, my body was like 100% tequila, mezcal, and Mexican candy. I'm a generally healthy guy. I eat pretty good. I exercise. But for a few hours, I had the diet of a really, really, really stupid teenager. However, I love you. I love you so much. It's so nice of you to always come to this channel and check up on me. You are so fucking sweet. So for that reason, I am going to persevere and I am going to try to tell you all about this brand new studio album from Vastum entitled Inward to Gethsemane, Shazam. I definitely just butchered the pronunciation of that. I don't need to be fucked in order to do that, though. That's a normal Metal Meltdown thing. So on that end of things, it's business as usual, I guess. Inward to Gethsemane, I think I got it right that time, is the fifth full-length studio album from Vastum, who I first heard about back in 2019, thanks to friend, collaborator, contributor, Ty Tilly. At that time, they had just released an album called Orificial Purge, which I think at the time I was a little underwhelmed by. And then I think after that, I kind of forgot about them for a little bit, but in getting ready for this album, I checked out some of their older stuff, like pre-Orificial Purge, and that stuff I was pleasantly surprised by. Stuff like Patricial Lust, Hole Below, the Spectral Voice Split from 2018 are cram-packed with intelligent, expressive, grim, sinister, cavernous death metal. I like how they lyrically tackle psychology, psychosexual development, eroticism, and violence. I like the dual vocal assault. I like some of the atmospheric elements that are kind of brought in the mix here and there. These albums have a really great feel and vibe. This even inspired me to go back to Orificial Purge, and I gotta say, I like it a lot more now than I did back in 2019. And as such, I was left feeling pretty pumped and pretty excited and hyped up going into this brand new studio album. Which I will say off the bat is in many ways business as usual for Vastum. Anyone familiar with their sound, anyone familiar with the way that they write and play and produce music is not going to be thrown off guard by much here. That's not to say that it doesn't have a few tricks up its sleeve. The closing number in particular, which we will discuss, definitely has some experimental flares and flavors and elements to it. But all that said, Vastum know who they are, they know what kind of music they want to make, they know what kind of music that the people who buy Vastum records want to hear, and they stick generally pretty close to that. Opening number In Bed With Death kicks things off on an appropriately gnarly and dark and fucked up note with some cold, atmospheric, synth-driven passages. It's very short and simple, but it does a great job at immediately kind of like setting the mood. From there we launch into some really sinister, slimy, grimy kind of like death metal battering and pounding. It's mean, it's intense. I would argue it almost has a little bit of a blackened death metal underbelly to it specifically with the way that it just kind of like relentlessly, aggressively pummels. I'm not gonna lie, it does get a little repetitive and it does eventually feel like, okay, maybe this isn't gonna go anywhere, maybe this is just what it is. But by the time sprouts dare to emerge from that seed of an idea implanted in your brain, suddenly Vastum switches things up with some more spacious doomy sections, some more melancholic guitar work. And the track ends pretty strong as we transition into some dizzying and chaotic guitar work, which further transitions and kind of bleeds into this really eerie, haunting choral vocal work. After this, you have Prepic Chasms, which plays around with some more jagged, angular riffs, some slimy, morbid, angel-esque grooves, and even some kind of, like, slammin' sections that wouldn't be out of place on, like, a 90s brutal death metal record. A chunky, moody, mid-pace death metal banger for sure. It's also one of the longer cuts on this record. There's definitely a little bit of fat that could be trimmed off of this for sure, but at the same time, I also feel like this track specifically benefits from being longer because it's able to kind of like take its time and drill all of these riffs and beats and grooves into your brain, but do so very slowly and maliciously. My favorite cut here would be the aforementioned closing number, Corpus Fractum. I feel like this track takes the most risk and gets the most done. I like how it's able to combine like these really gnarly old school death metal beatdowns with some blackened shades and some weirder, eerier like vocal textures and dynamics. I like the chanting, almost spoken word-esque vocals near the very end. It feels like something pulled out of a horror film. I like that really tough, muscular breakdown right before that, which feels like something pulled out of a Suffocation record. The whole thing, too, has an aura and a sense of spectacle and grandeur that I would now expect from Behemoth. Like, think the presentation of a record like The Satanist or I Loved You at Your Darkest with musically something more in line with, say, Zosia Cultus or Demigod or something like that. I'm not gonna lie though, there were a few tracks that I found to be kind of underwhelming in the same way that I initially found Orificial Purge underwhelming. Like Vomitus and Indwelling Archon, while I do like some of the more aggressive, like brutal aspects of these numbers, the more rabid vocals, the more tight, punchy grooves, the classic death metal rage. Overall, I do find these tracks to just be kind of like predictable and one-dimensional. Like, there's nothing happening on these cuts that I haven't heard done better on a bunch of other death metal records released thus far this year. The interlude Judas is a genuine disappointment as well because it sports some really old school doom metal influence and atmosphere that, if further integrated into the album, would add so much flavor. And to expand on what we've kind of touched on here and there throughout this review, I do think there's a little bit of fat on each song, a little bit of bloat. Which is a weird thing to say when this record isn't really even that long, like it's only 38 minutes, and yet I feel pretty comfortable saying that a lot of the tracks could benefit from having like 30 seconds to a minute being trimmed right off. I'm feeling an enthusiastic 3 out of 5. Had the quality of the songwriting and songcraft been more consistent across the board, had things been trimmed just a little bit, and had there been a little bit of extra spice and flavor and funkiness, I think we'd be looking at an enthusiastic 3.5 out of 5. I think people who've been following Vastum are still going to be pretty happy with this, even if they're not, like, blown away or anything like that. I'm hoping at the least this encourages more people to check out Vastum because this was a band I was kind of sleeping on and underrating for some time. By no means the most imaginative, groundbreaking death metal record of the year, but overall a pretty entertaining one from start to finish, warts and all. I've no issue recommending it. Once again, a 3 out of 5. It's a pretty enthusiastic one at that. Check it out. Why not? And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. Look, there's even more videos here. Check us out on Discord. Pick up some merch on the Redbubbles. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.